This is Petol, and with a little bit of facts and two cents extra. I know Pam, thank you, Pam, did a fantastic job a few days ago with her first post. Yay! I was having some technical issues. I have like a new phone and a new iPad, and because everything when you do video, it takes up so much space. So my old ones had ran out of space and it was malfunctioning and everything. And so I had to get new equipment. And then I couldn't get logged on. And it just, this little 3-ring circus of me with my passwords not being able to log on. And it was just a mess. And so thank you, Pam. Pam took over and I was like, bless her heart, because I was so frustrated. So I couldn't do it. So anyway, so I just thought today, I know Pam and I are going to get together back over the weekend. We're back at work, she's working, and our schedules are crazy. So now we're like 2 ships passing in the night with our schedules. So we're going to be back recording on Sunday. And so we'll come back together and do some stuff. And I know she mentioned about Jersey. We're excited to be talking about that. But a lot of stuff has been going on. And I just thought I'd pop in and say hello. I miss you all so much. And normally our show is about our faves in Montecito: Harry, Meghan, Archie, Baby Lily, or Goddess of Montecito, Baby Lily, Guy, Pula, the chickens, and Mama Doria. Don't forget, I'm forgetting Mama Doria. Anyway, normally our show is about them, but they're on vacay right now. They are on maternity and paternity leave. So we're going to leave our faves in Montecito to enjoy their break, to enjoy their peace. As Megan said, peaceful under a tree is me every day. So we're just going to leave them there to enjoy their peace, probably drinking some clever latte under a tree, reading a book, running around with Archie and cooing at Baby Lily. So we're just going to leave them to their peace. And we're going to just do a little bit of stuff, because I want to do a few of these episodes about the British royals. And a lot has been in the press lately about their wretched ways. And so I wanted to just sort of pop in and talk a little bit about the wretchedness of those royals, and which knows no bounds, apart from Prince Andrew still hiding from the FBI. And apparently, his security has been turning away people who want to, hand him his summons for that court case with Virginia Goofy Roberts, who is trying to get him into court to testify or say something or, speak to the FBI, whatever. And Andrew has been running away, and the Queen has been hiding him under her skirt in Balmoral, as we know. And so apparently today I saw that Prince Andrew is back at Balmoral, and with Fergie and in tow, back at Balmoral, back to hiding under the Queen's skirt, Also, I just saw today that the royal family are doing a BBC One or BBC Two special about Prince Philip's funeral, Prince Philip's death. Apparently, Harry is supposed to be a part of it, and William. And frankly, that just seems to me that they are just, they're just trying to distract from the fact that the stuff that's going on with Prince Andrew and also Prince Charles. I know a lot of you might, may or may not have read, if you're not in, if you haven't been paying attention to what's going on in England. Prince Charles has been up to his ears in mess, in corruption. And so that's why I wanted to pop in. Just, I'm going to do a few of these episodes really short about Prince Charles's corruption. And if you've been reading, if I hadn't been reading up about Prince Charles a little bit and finding out about how he funds his charities and how he funds, like, for example, Dumfries House and all these, properties that he has, that it's for charity. If you hadn't been reading up, this may come as a shock. Yes, I didn't know some of the things that he was doing, but after reading Sally Biddell's book, with Prince Charles always being in America, hooking up his rich philanthropist friends for money, I would have been bowled over. But because I've been reading that, I was like, yeah, this goes right along with what I've been reading. So I'm not surprised to learn about Prince Charles' shady dealings with financing some of his charities. So one of the things in late July, actually July 31st, there's this curious article in the Times about Prince Charles being involved, his name being involved in a pay for play or cash for access scheme. And this scheme was run by Ben Elliot. And if you don't know who Ben Elliot is the nephew of Camilla Parker Bowles, which is the nephew also of Prince Charles by marriage. And so he is all up, he is a businessman. He is an entrepreneur and I guess a philanthropist. And you have to do those air quotes for the royal family when it comes to charity and philanthropy, because it's always a bit shady. So anyway, Ben Elliot is very much known. In fact, he raised funds for the Queen's 2012 Jubilee. He's done fundraisers for the royal family. He actually even did one for Prince Harry, I think for Centimali. So his prowess as a party planner was used liberally in the royal family. He owns this company called Quintessentially, and Quintessentially is one of those posh concierge service for the wealthy. So think anything that, is possibly impossible to get, maybe say last minute ticket to Wimbledon, or booking a private jet that you could never be able to book on your own, or, getting reservations to a restaurant that you could never get reservations into, or, simple stuff as renting a car when all the cars are seemingly not available. Quintessentially can provide those services if you have the money to pay for it. And so this is a company where the rich and famous, or at least the rich, you don't have to be famous, the rich, at least the very wealthy, they are part of his, or at least he recruits them to be part of his concierge service, or club, shall we say. And so in this club, there are these tiers, the lower tiers, maybe you'll be able to book, say, flowers or rent a car or something like that. On other levels, maybe that's where you get to they'll be able to rent a jet for you, or a private jet or something like that for you. And then, but they have the top level. So the top level is where you pay £15,000 per year, or $20,000 a year. And this is the level where that opens up the world to you. As, one of their clients called it, it's called, instead of, pay for play or cash for access, he calls it access capitalism. The buzzword for rich people, access capitalism. And this is what opens up the world to you. It opens up relationships, or it opens up access to the world of politics. So politicians that you will never, ever be able to meet on your own. If you join Ben's club and pay $15,000 a year, guess what? You can meet Boris Johnson. You can go to 10 Downing Street and meet Boris Johnson, have dinner with Boris Johnson, or whatever MP you want to, It also opens up the royal family. It opens you to the world of royalty, where you can have dinner with Prince Charles, say, at Clarence House, or Highgrove, or Balmoral, or Buckingham Palace, or Dumfries House. And keep Dumfries House in mind, because I'm going to be coming back in with a few of these little episodes. But Dumfries House is something to keep in mind, because it's going to be playing quite a bit. So enter one of Ben Elliot's clients, longtime clients, Mohammad Nuseibeh. And Mohammad Nuseibeh is one of those people. He's a multi-millionaire telecom. He owns or runs a telecom company, and he is very wealthy. his wife is Russian. So his business, actually, he does a lot of business in the Middle East. He does a lot of business in Russia. And those seems to be very prevalent in the royal family. They love Russians and they love the Middle East. And so Prince Andrew was killed, knocked for all of his Middle East contacts. What people don't realize is Prince Charles is just as heavily involved in the Middle East as is Andrew. We'll get to that in another episode. But one of the things I want to, do with these little episodes is look at, the way to really find out who these rich people are is following the money. Follow the things that, follow their track, the money trail, basically. And so from these exposés that came out, is all about following the money. And the money always tends to lead, come from or lead to Russia or Middle East. So anyway, Mohammad Nuseibeh, this multi-millionaire telecom owner who becomes a member of Ben Elliot's club. He is in the top tier. He got the top tier membership, $15,000, whatever. One of the perks of this $15,000 a year membership is access to HRH himself, Prince Charles. And the perks are that they would take, Mr. Mercy actually was living in New York. He had just moved and now lives in England. And they'll fly him from England via a private jet to Scotland, where Dumfries house is. And they'll be able to stay on him and his wife, Nadia. Mr. Mercy's wife, Nadia, would be able to stay over at Dumfries' house for the night. They will get to have tea. They'll be able to see the land, see the property, and also they'll be able to meet Prince Charles and have dinner with Prince Charles. So that's what was promised. And the only hiccup that happened with that, because of bad weather, they weren't able to do the private jet, but they took a commercial jet. And they were picked up at the airport, chauffeur driven to Dumfries' house, had tea, saw the property that afternoon. That evening, they had dinner with HRH himself, candlelight dinner with chandeliers and a whole bit with HRH himself. And they talked about their charities and all of those things, because Mr. Mercy was very impressed with Prince Charles's work. And that's one thing. I mean, you can knock Prince Charles for a lot of things. The one thing you can't knock Prince Charles for is his work ethics. He really pursues his passion. And so Mr. Mercy was very impressed with Prince Charles's work. And so they talked about that, because the promise was that you can talk to Prince Charles about whatever, anything you want. And so they talked about that. They're very excited. He was shown the property. And so they stayed the night and then left the next day. And then the following day, they received the letters, thank you, from Dumfries' house, the director, I guess, of Dumfries' house. And in that letter, they mentioned another person, Michael Fawcett. And Michael Fawcett was very happy that they came. And also from Michael Fawcett was an invitation for Mr. Mercy to be able to donate money. There's a wall garden that could be named after you for a certain amount. So there was a donation letter, donate to our charity, and get your name, get it named after you, And promptly after, Mr. Mercy sent $130,000 to Dumfries' house. And Michael Fawcett, sent him back the letter. It's like, wow, yes, we received, he actually asked his bank to transfer the money to Dumfries' house. And Michael Fawcett send him a thank you. Yes, we received the money. Keep Michael Fawcett in your mind, because we're going to get back to Michael Fawcett. So the issue with this is that Mr. Mercy said that he would not have access to this had he not paid for it, And again, there's nothing wrong with him joining a club where they have privileged stuff like private jets and all of that. The problem comes in with his relationship with Prince Charles. The only way he would have a kind of access and to be able to do the things he did with Prince Charles is because he paid money. And that's where the problem is. That he would not have the access, be invited to Dumfries House, having dinner with Prince Charles, and all of those things, had he not paid for it. Hence the pay for access. And also, when this came out, it was more, the response was basically, well, Prince Charles had no idea. There's nothing wrong with Ben, introducing his rich clients to him. Absolutely not. If you have rich clients, and Prince Charles is always doing charity stuff, and he's always fundraising for some charity or something like that, that's fine. He could introduce. The problem again comes back in the access. How did Ben Elliot get access to Prince Charles? And did Prince Charles know that Ben Elliot was paying for that access? And so the thing that came out was like, oh, well, Prince Charles had no idea. He is just a victim in this whole thing, and it's all Ben Elliot. Ben Elliot is charging people basically to use Prince Charles, and and the thing was like, no, Prince Charles is an innocent little lamb. The problem with all of this is quintessentially actually use Prince Charles in their promotion. Prince Charles, I think, was in their promotion to, flouting Ben Elliot's company. So the idea that Prince Charles doesn't know, and again, there's no evidence in this that says, specifically that Prince Charles, but what are the chances that Prince Charles did not know? That's how Mr. Elliot came by, to see him. And so in all of this, from his relationship with Mr. Elliot, from the time he, after the first time they met, and Mr. Elliot gave him that £130,000. Mr. Elliot then started constantly giving money to Prince Charles's charities and his stuff that he's looking for funding. Mr. Elliot, but in the end, donated over $1.2 million to Prince Charles's charities. In 2015, Prince Charles then named Mr. Elliot as a trustee for his Princess Trust International, organization that will help young people to get jobs and all of that stuff. He named Mr. Elliot a trustee. It's a position that Mr. Elliot left actually this year in April. He resigned from that position. Mr. Elliot was asked if he was part of a pay-for-play scheme. And his response was basically that he's like, you call it pay-for-play and I call it access capitalism. It's the same point. You get access, you get invitations, you get privileged relationships if you're part of the setup, and where you are financially making a contribution to be part of the setup. So absolutely. Although Ben Elliot just, completely denied that his company was basically selling access to the royal family, an insider from quintessentially was like, yeah, they're absolutely selling access to the royal family. They, in fact, Ben Elliot, in fact, used his royal connections to upsell people, in the lower tier, if they wanted, wanted someone to entice someone to, get to the higher levels of quintessentially, one of the things they would do is that he would use his royal connections. He would be like, I know you're at this level, but if you moved up to the higher level, we can maybe get you tickets to Elton John, or the people at that level, the high level, have met HRH, or they have met, been to events with the royal family. And so this is some of the ways that he would entice people to come, basically using his access to the royal family to purchase or to upsell to the higher levels of his company. And did Prince Charles know that he was doing it? I don't know. So one of the main charges against quintessentially and Ben Elliot is that he recruits people to his company by offering them an introduction to Prince Charles. That is the thing. That is the paid for access to the royal family, and basically cash for royal access. And Although Ben Elliot has denied this, but the evidence is there, that is what happening, because Mr. Mercy paid for his membership, and guess what he got? Access to Prince Charles, exactly as they said what happened. That is what he got. Ben Elliot claimed that it's a separate thing, that, it's because Mr. Mercy was interested in Prince Charles's charity. It wasn't part of the membership. Mr. Mercy said differently. It's like, when you have that money, it opens up, and that is part of the deal. Ben Elliot claimed is different. Mr. Mercy said, nope, that's the deal. And exactly what the email said to Mr. Mercy, that is exactly what happened. Yeah, there are no hard evidence that Prince Charles knew about it, but it's hard for me to believe that Prince Charles, a man who has been doing this involved in charity for this long and working with donors, has a foundation. Therefore, he has a committee of people that would be vetting donors, that would be vetting the people that come into contact with his company, who he is taking all this money from. Again, Mr. Mercy has donated up to over $1.2 million to Prince Charles's various foundations, various charitable initiatives. Wouldn't your committee vet these people to know exactly everything about them before they take that kind of money from them? Wouldn't they be vetting Ben Elliot's company to see how exactly, he came into contact with Mr. Mercy? But he has a board. He has all of those people, many of whom are from the financial world, so they would have some kind of knowledge about the people that they are taking money from. So when this article came out on July 31st, again, Charles's people were like, no, Prince Charles is collateral damage. He had nothing to do with what Ben Elliot was doing. He just, meet the client, whatever, and the client decided to donate to his charities. And so Prince Charles had nothing to do with this. It's embarrassing, yes, because he doesn't want his name attached to a pay-for-play scheme, or selling access, or selling royal access to rich donors. You don't want, because that will literally be selling the royal family for money, basically, is what it is. And Prince Charles, he's the future king. We don't want him, his name attached to that. He doesn't know what Ben Elliot is doing. He's collateral damage, And so this, yes, very embarrassing for the royal family. Very embarrassing, I'm sure, for Prince Charles. And in royal form, when something comes up that is embarrassing to you, what do? You find another family member to throw under the bus. So all of a sudden, in pops Princess Eugenie's husband, Jack Brookbank. And same day this comes out, all of a sudden we get pictures of Jack Brookbank in Italy, Capri, I guess, on a yacht with topless models posing and swimming in the ocean. Nothing salacious. They weren't doing anything. I mean, he was taking a photo with one of the women, then they came out of the water and one of the women was topless. There was nothing shown, but it's not the best look when you have a wife and a young baby at home, wife taking care of a young baby and you're cavorting with topless models in Italy. It's not the best look. It wasn't the wisest thing. But again, it's what the royal family do. What they do when they want to hide something or something that they don't want the public to know. Again, they throw a family member under the bus. And this is exactly what that was, throwing a family member under a bus. And, I'm sure Jack Brookbank had a lot of explaining to do to Princess Eugenie. But, again, that's all that was. If the story had come out about the Sussexes, that they were the ones that was involved in a cash for access scheme, what would the press be doing about that? There was none. The royal reporters went silent. At least the majority of them went silent. The ones that usually are screaming about the Sussexes and all the ways that they think the Sussexes is going to sell the royal family name and, use the royal family name for money and all of those things. You remember all those things they were saying about the Sussexes when they signed the deals with Spotify and Netflix, especially, how that the Sussexes were going to be ruining the royal family name and using the royal family name for cash and all of those things. Remember all of those people? All of a sudden, this comes out about Prince Charles and silence, crickets. Nobody's saying a word. Press isn't reporting about it. Royal reporters are silent. Nobody's saying a word about it. They're trying every single thing, other than talking about the fact that the things that they were accusing Harry and Meghan of doing, that possibly the future King of England was involved in. Isn't that interesting? And nobody called for his title. Nobody called for him to be stripped of his title. Nobody called for him to, be stripped of his, being next in line to the throne, because no one was talking about this possible thing, that the possibility of Prince Charles selling access to the royal family could destroy the royal family, could tear the royal family down, could cause the royal family to be abolished. All the things that they were saying, that the Spotify deal and the Netflix deal and the Sussex is moving away and the Oprah Winfrey, all the things that they were saying that Harry and Meghan were doing. And nobody is saying that he is going to bring down the royal family. Nobody is saying that he's going to destroy the royal family. Nobody is calling about stripping him of his title. And yet, with no evidence, this is what they were saying about Harry and Meghan. Mr. Mercy donated at least $1.2 million to Charles's charities. Nobody has asked Prince Charles to give him back his money. So again, we talk about the hypocrisy and the double standard for how they treat, how the press and how many, critics of the Sussexes treat the Sussexes, and they treat the rest of the royal family. It's like, it's okay for the white royals to sell access, possibly, because we're going to get to more in our next episode, but it's possibly for the white royals to possibly sell access to the royal family. But it's not okay for Harry and Meghan to use the royal family name, because apparently they're going to destroy the royal family brand. So it's okay, but it's okay for the white royals to sell access or to sell the royal family brand. But it's not okay for Meghan and Harry. It's not okay for them to even use the word royal. It's not okay for them to have Sussex Royal, Instagram, nothing that has to do with royal. They can't have it. Yet, here is Prince Charles possibly selling access to the royal, pretty much selling out the royal brand. And nobody is calling for him to be stripped of his title. Nobody is calling for him to be taken out of, or asking him to step out from being the next in line to the throne. Nobody is asking any of those things. And that is the hypocrisy that we're seeing. So that's it for this episode. I would love to hear your 2 cents worth on this topic. I'm sure a lot of you have read the article or articles. If you haven't, I'm going to post a link in the show notes. So definitely use that link, because that way we're not giving Rupert Murdoch. If you click on the Times article from the Times that is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and you're basically putting money into his pocket. But if you use this link, it's archived. So there you get to read it, and Rupert Murdoch gets no money. So use the link that I'm going to put in the show notes. So yeah, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about this and all that's going on, because there's a lot more to come. We're going to be touching on more of this, as there are other stories that's come out about Prince Charles's grift, basically. Also, guys, thank you so much for those of you who have supported us. Just to let you know, there's a link in our show notes for PayPal or Cash App. If you're interested in supporting us, please, thank you so much. Again, there's no obligation, but if you like what we're doing and you'd like to support us, thank you very much. Also, my favorite way is our merchandise. You know, we do have merchandise. One of my favorite things in the world is merchandise. This is my favorite thing. I am a mug person. I am so not like Megan in that way. She's into fine china. I will break that in a second. So I am a mug person. The bigger, the better. So that's how I take everything, because I love a lot of tea. So I like my big mugs. So anyway, feel free to click on the site, purchase some. That helps us too. And then it gives you something as well. So so thank you again in advance. No, again, no obligation, but if you want to, thank you. Anyway, so I will be back shortly. I will be back and we'll pick up this subject and we can discuss. But I think it's so important to know, to have these kind of backgrounds, so that when those royal cockroaches decide to come at, you know, the Sussexes with nonsense about where they get their finances, we are armed with this information. Be like, before you come at the Sussex, you got to deal with your own mess. You got to deal with your own grifting in the royal family before you can say anything about the Sussexes. So that's why I think these are so important to talk about. So anyways, thank you guys, and I will see you shortly.